this free agency has really, to me, and I think to you, Cody, as well, has really shown not only the true colors of Mike Mayock, who I've talked about. Um, you know, I feel like this is a last ditch effort for him. And then John Gruden, who I think is still going to be safe, unfortunately, but I feel like it's shown his true colors of he hasn't proven anything and he knows it. And so he's like trying to rebuild and be like, well, we just haven't got everything in yet. So, I mean, Cody, initial thoughts, like something that you want to talk about with this whole thing. I mean, how are you feeling with free agency so far for the Raiders?
I'm very, very, very disappointed about where it's heading. And one of the main things for me, and I know it happened early on, and I've given you my wholehearted thoughts and feelings about this, and I'll say them here. But the fact that we let go of Rodney Hudson via trade for a 3rd round pick, to me, tells me everything I need to know about the Raiders organization and the health of our internal operations. To me, Rodney Hudson, who's been with our organization for 6 years, I remember he was like one of the very first players that Reggie McKenzie signed when I think his first year as being our GM, when we were really going through an entire like identity change from, the disorganized functioning football team to being somewhat respectable, even when we had Hugh Jackson in at one point and Jack Del Rio. Rodney Hudson was a staple of that. I mean, he was there at the same time Carr was. And I think what upsets me is, he's an all-pro center that we essentially traded for a 3rd round pick, but it had nothing to do with cap. And it was a year removed from a disappointing season, which is, we had a trajectory to go into the playoffs, and then we tanked after our loss with the Chiefs. I think it was like week 10 or week 9 or something like that. And, that tells me everything I need to know about the Raiders internally, that a veteran that's been with us, who an argument could be made that he is the one that's been helping bring up some of these young offensive linemen to play above what they're supposed to, helped someone like Denzel Good really develop well, considering he was a kind of a fill-in. Really helped Trent Brown kind of get acquainted with the Raiders. Rodney Hudson really helped in pass protection for Derek Carr to make sure that he's successful. And the fact that we just, were okay trading him and not trying to reconcile whatever made us get rid of him tells me everything I need to know. I think this is a John Gruden kind of a deal, because none of this chaos happened before John Gruden. And you can even make an argument that had John Gruden not been hired as the head coach, Mike Mayock would not have been the GM as well. And only John Gruden can alienate players such as Khalil Mack, Amari Cooper, Trent Brown, maybe even some cases Antonio Brown, which is probably like a Mayock and a Gruden kind of deal, although AB's kind of like his own issue as well. And then also essentially being on this hot and cold deal with Derek Carr. Is he good? Is he not good? Are we keeping him? Is he, whatever's going on with that? And, we just needed the defense to be even more competitive. And we decided to essentially get rid of almost 80% of our offensive line. And yeah, have we made some defensive moves? Sure. But ultimately, to me, what was really disheartening is just the fact that Rodney Hudson was traded, and he's been nothing more than a staple and all pro. And you don't get rid of players like that. You just don't let go. You just don't let your best players walk away, or you trade them. It's not like his play was declining. It's not like he had an outrageous contract. This just tells me everything I need to know about the Raiders organization. And it's very disheartening. As somebody that's been a Raiders fan my entire life, I mean, I was there when we drafted Jeff George. I was there when we had Rich Gannon and went to the Super Bowl and lost our backsides off to the Buccaneers, who was coached by John Gruden, ironically. I was there during the Jamarcus Russell years, during the 17 different quarterbacks starting in a season at one point. So I was there through all of it, and I've seen them get better, but I've also seen them do, I don't know, the same song and dance for the last 20 years, which is they have somewhat small success, and then they've got to blow everything up and bring all these new pieces that don't know how to work together because you didn't keep your core intact. And the one administration that kind of, or not administration, excuse me, the front office that had that with Khalil Mack, Derek Carr, and Amari Cooper, that was a solid foundation. Only one player now remains, which is Derek Carr. And the organization has gone from this to this since then. And so, I just am lost for words at this point. We've made some key acquisitions that you will bring up, and I'll also give some opinion on. But for the most part, the Raiders are their own worst enemy. They are getting too cute. We have John Gruden that is trying to basically control everything, and we have Mike Mayock thinking that we can rebuild in the draft, which we don't know how to develop players because our rookies this past year weren't that great, but everybody else's were. So,
yep. And we can blame COVID that it affects some players, but why is it affecting all the players that we drafted? Why is it not just affecting a few here and there? Not just on our team, but on other teams. I mean, Jerry Jeudy looked fine.
Yeah. Justin Jefferson looked great.
Justin Jefferson looked phenomenal. CeeDee Lamb looked really good. T. Higgins looked really good.
Phenomenal. Yep.
So what's going on with us? And it's a good point that you make. And you've been on here, I don't know, probably for the last 3 months saying that same thing of our players aren't being developed. Like it's, for some reason, it's not working. And I actually am looking at the draft picks, and you were right. The trade that we get for Rodney Hudson, the third pick, it is for this year. And I don't know what the obsession is on the consecutive picks that they get every single year. I don't remember if you remember this last year, but when they got Brian Edwards and I think it was Lynn Bowden Jr. Both like back to back.
Right.
Okay. Remember we had that pick, and then the very next pick we got them. We did that again this year. We have the 79th pick in the third round from Arizona, and now we have the 80th pick from us on the third round. Why? What good does that do? We have pick one. Our first pick in round 1 is 17. Our next pick is 48. Is number 48 in the second round. That is 31 picks in between ours. That is insane. Like, man, that's a long. And I mean, I know a lot of people are like, well, that's kind of the draft, but like, I feel like we could have got something like in between there. Like instead of another third round pick. Like we obviously need talent. We obviously need guys who are going to do this. But because Mayock is so confident in his draft, and again, I understand that he should, but no one else should think that he's good enough to do this. Like that's my point. He has not proven that he is good at drafting.